Did you watch the Ratchet and...
PlayStation 5
No, I did not watch
has
the...
been out for 8 months, but now we are finally getting the first true PlayStation 5 video game, Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart. When you boot this up, you are going to say, "Oh, look at the PlayStation on these graphics. This game is just beautiful. You got 17.4 octo-quad processors pumping out 300 pixels per gallon, subwoofer mega aliasing with real-time bump maps. Clearly the game you are looking at right now could only ever be possible on the PlayStation 5. Am I right or am I right? Well, Richard, you're never gonna trust me again after this, but you just fell for my biggest trap ever. Again. This is actually the PS4 game from 2016, which is still a spectacular looking game. The Ratchet and Clank series has always been impressive visually. This was true in the PS2, PS3, PS4, and especially so in Rift Apart. Sweeping vistas, numerous reflective...
Dude, I was wondering, like, why don't I remember this mission? That's crazy.
Ever. Again. This is actually the PS4 game from 2016, which is still a spectacular looking game. Sweeping vistas, numerous reflective surfaces, massive scaled action sequences, expressive character animation, the varied humming of different types of ships zooming beneath you. There's a factory with a bunch of bouncy balls and you hit them. You gotta love the sound design on that. It's not just the level of detail, but the variety of locations. Neon-lit cyberpunk cityscapes doused in purple rain, dino jungles with mammoth creatures towering over you, the shattered and scattered mining planet Blizzard Prime. You're really gonna want to take your time and absorb all of the little details in these worlds, especially when you get to Mr. Zircon's Cantina. This place is just ridiculous. There is so much concentrated detail in this one room. These guys are over here drinking drinks. Wasn't that a sound effect on that drink? This dude is riding a mechanical something. Over here, they're playing Street Fighter on the arcade cabinet. Now look at these little creatures inside the jukebox. Who are these guys? Then you got a sheep sitting at the bar. Of course, you know who this sheep is, right? If you read his bio, turns out that's actually Chairman Drek from the original game. This Cantina part is insane. Sony is really pushing the PS5 solid-state drive as this breakthrough technology, and Rift Apart pulls attention to this with its Rift opening trick where you can seamlessly glide from world to world. This is a cool trick, but Sony, remember all those PS4 games without loading? Uncharted 4, God of War, Red Dead 2, Last of Us 2, these games had one initial load screen and then never again. It was just one continuous experience from that point on. Not every game figured out load times, but you know what game did? The original Ratchet and Clank on the PS2. The load times are almost non-existent. This was 20 years ago. Rift Apart is an excellent looking game, one of the best. But is this game only possible on the PS5? I don't know about all that. Sony Santa Monica recently announced that the next God of War game is still coming to PS4. If the PS4 is still good enough for God of War Ragnarok, shut the fuck up out of here with this can't even shut the fuck up gameplay. Wait, we're actually going to talk about the game in this video? The gameplay here is solid. It's not exceptional. It's not the true next generation experience. It's just solid. You have a nice variety of shooting, platforming, and puzzles, and a nice variety of weapons like the ice cube gun and the electrocutor and the sprinkler that turns enemies into plants.
The guns were so good.
You can front flip onto a ship while blasting enemies off in midair with your shotgun. Whenever I see a TNT box, I break out the little pistol and get that pinpoint shot off to blow up a whole stack of crates. This never gets old. You can spawn in an entire army of minions to win fights for you. You have snail racing off of Undertale, grapple hooks, wall running, rocket boots that let you tear through every level. Some of the most expensive looking rail grind sequences I've ever seen. Even with all this going for it though, the repetition starts to creep in around the halfway mark. You have dozens of enemies on screen at a time, you have a dash, you pause and pick weapons from a wheel, and your guns chip off parts of the enemy's armor. And that's when I realized I am playing the G-rated version of Doom Eternal. This comparison does Ratchet and Clank no favors, because the combat of Doom Eternal is far more thought out. Every weapon beats nearly every enemy. There's very little strategy.
Oh my god.
Here.
I mean, I never played Doom Eternal, but I totally get what he's saying.
There is also a severe lack of variety among enemies, especially for a game that is about going to all these different dimensions, you know? The game just keeps throwing the same mini-bosses at you again and again and again. I must have fought this big robot guy like 10 times and he never evolves as the game progresses. There's a lot of shooting sections, and then you bring up this little robot to play a virus minigame. And now here's some more shooting sections. So let's recap. Graphics? Gameplay? Story? The nicest thing I can say about the story is that it's competent. Most games, on top of being incredibly dumb, are also very drawn out and tedious. Rift Apart is brisk and snappy. Dr. Nefarious, the bad guy who always loses, sucks you into an alternate dimension where he always wins. It's definitely a cool premise that is squandered on very boring characters. The whole fun of the alternate dimension is seeing the characters you already know in a new light, like Skid McMarks. In the normal
Except you see him for 1 second and then never again.
dimension, he's a laid-back surfer dude, but in the alternate dimension, he's a badass secret agent. The alternate versions of Ratchet and Clank,
Like, I really thought that they would come back. And I'm not, like, fond of the Ratchet and Clank franchise or anything. Like, I played a little bit. I mean, I've never played the old ones, I don't think. This is my first time playing it. And there's no, like, you know, there was no callbacks to the characters.
though, are pretty much the exact same characters. They have the same weapons and the same calculatedly inoffensive personalities.
I'm glad you're okay, buddy.
You too, Ratchet.
Be careful out there.
Why do you go to this planet? So you can get a rock. Why do you go to this planet? Because the rock broke. Now you have to fix it. This is the storyline, you guys. There just isn't enough emotional heft here to satiate an entire video game. Ratchet is intimidated by the prospect of finally meeting his lost race of rabbits. Meanwhile, Rivet and
Which was never explored.
Kit both have trust issues they have to overcome. I guess the core idea
That was
is
explored more.
uncertainty, which isn't a good fit for a story this formulaic and predictable.
Oh, I apologize.
You feel bad? Even though I just watched your brain diary thingy?
Oh my god, he feels bad even though she was mean to him? Wow.
You okay, Bolts?
You came after me.
Oh my god, she came after him even though she didn't like him before? Oh my god. This game is rated E for everybody.
I find it ironic that Dunkey is saying this, but he's like Mr. Baby Games. Remember what I said about it in the end, where I was like, Mario and all those other games, perhaps because of a lack of dialogue, come across more adult than Ratchet and Clank, because Ratchet and Clank actually has dialogue and a plot line that they tried to flush out. That was my ultimate take on the fucking game when I finished it. There was only 9,000 people while I was watching it, while I finished it, so you probably are unaware of what my take was on the game, but I feel like Mario, Zelda, those games, well, Zelda's a little bit different. Zelda is an incredible plot line, but with Mario, like, the lack of a cohesive storyline makes you less aware that it's such a baby game. Whereas in this one, it like slaps you in the face that this is absolutely a baby game.
Not E for children only. To really tell an effective story, you need to take the audience through a series of different moods. But Rift Apart seems to only have one setting: loud.
It's me! Take it!
When they aren't screaming or shooting or blowing up stuff, then it's the complete opposite. Now they're too polite. It's like every other line of dialogue in this game is somebody saying thank you.
Thanks for choosing Miss Circles.
Thank you for going to such trouble on my behalf.
Thank you both for freeing my brothers.
Thank you, Ratchet, for helping us.
Thank you.
No, thank you!
In case I do not get another chance to say it,
Don't do it.
thank you.
You piece of shit. They're trying to reach for some emotional moments here, but the dialogue is too sap.
Wait, what the fuck? There's a new Wait, where'd it go? What is this? What is this spreadsheet, dude? New spreadsheet just dropped, bro. Gamer spreadsheet. Breath of the Wild 1010, Super Mario Odyssey 910, Hades Verbal, favorite indie game. Little Hope, better than Man of Medan. Astro's Playroom, it was kind of fun though. Spider-Man, this game was incredible, but not a full game. Demon Souls, 8 out of 10. Sleeping Dogs, 7 out of 10. Cyberpunk, gave it 2 ratings, 8.5 consider all the glitches, 9.5 consider the glitches didn't exist. Dude, I loved Cyberpunk so much. Disappointing ending for Back for Blood. This shit was tight, was short. Not sure why anyone would pay $60 for this. Bug Snacks, kind of bug, kind of snack. Hitman 3, short, sweet, replayable, wholesome gaming. Resident Evil Village, 7 out of 10. Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart, 8.5 out of 10.
Happy and congratulatory for it to connect. Everybody's always telling each other how great they are, or just really hamming it up with some corny monologue.
So, what do you think of Clank?
Dude, these were the best parts. These puzzles were so wonderful.
Oh, talented, resourceful? You're good. No, great. So of course he would be too.
Because no matter how many times he screws up, he's always there when it matters most.
I am good at this!
How do I rate this game?
8.5 for Ratchet and Zelda 1010. Breath of the Wild was a 1010 game. It's a literal perfect game, dude. Shut the fuck up if you don't find that to be true. It's so good. I can't believe it doesn't have voice acting in it. Like, it's just nuts.
Well, people love to compare Ratchet and Clank to Pixar. There's even a Toy Story joke in this game. So I will say Rift Apart is like the Cars of video games.
Thank you.
It should be I who is thanking you.
Ratchet and Clank is literally playing a Pixar movie, but as a game. Actually, that's not true because Pixar movies are way better written than Ratchet and Clank as far as like emotional trauma that they subject you to and make you cry and shit.
Cars 2, actually.